Hello and welcome to the Trophy Trust, a weekly PlayStation Trophy Hunters podcast. I am this week's host, it's Clarity, and I am joined this week by DKShadow.
Hey guys.
Welcome back, DK, and we also have the Dazeel here with us as well.
Hello.
Hey Daz, how have you guys been doing?
I'm okay actually. Yeah, it probably doesn't really tell over the microphone, but I've actually got a bit of a head cold, so I feel like I sound nasally, but you guys have already told me that I don't. But I apologise in advance if I accidentally sniff on the podcast while I'm talking, because currently I can only breathe through my mouth. But
Okay.
I have my mute on standby in case I have a sneeze coming. So you can all rest assured I'm not going to be gross or anything or blow my nose on the podcast.
It's okay, don't worry, I'll edit you out so it's just me and DK in that podcast, okay? Don't worry about it.
Just talking through a mysterious third.
Yeah, that's it. Now, let me just ask before I go any further, is that the type of cold that would stop you from gaming, or the type of cold that would put you into a gaming mood in bed? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, it's early days at the moment, so I'm hoping it's just a couple of days and it's good. I'm fine. It's just the sniffing thing, you know, when you just involuntarily do it, you know, when you've got like a runny nose. But I'm good.
Okay,
Nothing's going to stop me gaming.
Oh yeah, I know it takes a lot too, but you can get those kind of bad bouts that would do it to you. But we hope you feel better anyway, and that you do get some gaming done as well during the meantime. Welcome back, DK. It's been a while since we had you on the podcast as well. Welcome back, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been busy with work as usual.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it's very good to keep busy in your line of work as well, in the games industry as well. But it's you've been doing a lot of gaming and all that, but we're delighted to have you back on the podcast here now after a while and get your thoughts on a few of the things that are coming up. So, as usual, we start off the first part in what we've actually been playing since the last time we did the episode. So, I'll ask DK. You haven't been on for a while, so what have you been playing?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Everybody's Golf. I back in the day, I actually used to play Tiger Woods quite a bit. So, getting back into some golf now is actually pretty fun. And Everybody's Golf is actually really fun to play, even though it is very difficult sometimes. But,
It's like arcade kind of golf, you know, is it?
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean, some people don't appreciate the art style change to this one over the previous games, but the gameplay itself is just really fun. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And then, as a lot of people, I'm playing a bit of Destiny 2, working my way slowly but steadily towards the platinum.
Yeah.
Then I'm playing. I've gone back to play Neo. So a friend of mine got the game recently, so we're playing through a bit of that in co-op. And then once he catches up to me, we'll play through all the season pass content as well to get a nice 100% on that eventually. And finally, I'm playing a bit of Dragon's Dogma on PS4. So I did get the platinum originally on PS3, but it's such a fantastic RPG, so I've gone back and working on it again on PS4.
I've never played that. Dragon's Dogma.
No, me neither.
It's an excellent RPG. So basically, it's there are a couple of systems going on in the game. One of them being the fact that you can climb on any enemy. So you'll be fighting griffins and dragons and trolls and everything in between. You can climb them, and some of them might even take off and fly away with you, hanging on for dear life. It's a very cool game. And then one of the cool things about it is that as you start the game, you make a pawn, so a main assistant, if you will, like a helper that's always in your party. So you control yourself, and then you have 3 AI companions, one of them being your main, that you customize and make your own, and the other 2, you will basically recruit other people's pawns,
Okay.
and then you take pawns that other players have created, you recruit them into your party, and you customize your party that way. So it's a really cool system in that your pawn can be used by others, you use other people's pawns, and everyone gets rewarded back and forth with that. So it's a pretty cool system.
And is there a good visual upgrade to the PlayStation 4 version? Because it was on PlayStation 3 before, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, PS3 originally. It looks better for sure. I mean, the game is 5 or 7 years old. It's quite old at this point, so obviously it doesn't look like a 2017 game, but it looks quite good.
Wasn't it? Didn't it have something to do with Resident Evil? Didn't it? The Dragon's Dogma on PS3 came with a Resident Evil demo, like a kind of way of helping sales out, or vice versa. Dragon's Dogma came with the demo, or Resident Evil came with the demo for that. Either way, it was bundled with something Resident Evil related to kind of like.
I had Dragon's Dogma on PS3. I don't recall there being a demo on that, but maybe it was a case of Resident Evil having a demo of this to launch the IP. I'm not sure. But Dragon's Dogma, from what I remember, didn't have a demo of anything.
I'm sure. I think they did something related to it. I guess to help with sales or something like that. Sort of like tag it onto another game.
Could be. Not something I recall, unfortunately.
Is it...
One thing that's sort of new on PS4 as well is it comes with the Dark Arisen expansion. And now, people that have had PS Plus for a long time probably have this game, including Dark Arisen on PS3. It was actually on PS Plus a few years ago. So you both probably have the game on PS3 if you wanna dive in. But the cool thing is the game is actually only 20 quid or £18, I think, brand new on PS4. So if you're interested at all, it's very cheap to jump in and check it out.
Here's an article from 2012. Dragon's Dogma delayed to May, includes Resident Evil 6 demo. So yeah, that was it. It just included the demo. But then again,
I don't recall that at all.
Ships with Dragon's Dogma this May. That's from 2012 as well. So yeah, I guess I just bundled it in to help it along.
And now I might be thinking of a different game because Void, he's a big fan of it, and I could be thinking of it. But is that platinum difficult? Is it? It's very difficult, is it?
I'm not sure I'd say difficult, but it's quite long.
Grindy, maybe.
It took me well over 100 hours, I think, on PS3, and obviously, because the PS4 version comes with the expansion, it now takes even longer to platinum, and actually you have to play through the game once, then you have to play through it again because there's a trophy for beating it twice, then you have to play through it on hard mode, and then you have to do a speed run as well. So you have to do it 4 times. That being said, the speed run, the world record of that is under 15 minutes. So if you know exactly what you're doing, a normal person would probably take 10 hours or something, or 5 to 10 maybe.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. You have to. If you die in speed run, your save is gone, and you cannot turn off the game. So it's a 1 session thing, no failing. So it's pretty hardcore in that sense.
Wait, 1 session, 10 hour?
Yeah, obviously you just leave your PlayStation turned on if you.
If you want to step away, yeah.
Yeah, but if you turn it off, it's gone. You have to start over. So it's a 1 session thing, and you cannot die.
Can't even back out to upload a save or anything like that.
Nope, you just have to keep going. But again, if you prepare, you can do it in as low as 15 minutes. So
I don't know.
It's pretty insane. And this is a game that if you just do main story, it's probably going to take you 40 hours normally. So, or at least the first time.
I was interested in it. No, so thank you for that. Kind of goes up
Well,
and down. As a great
yeah.
RPG though, yeah, but the platinum sounds very tough.
Yeah, it's a long one. I'm probably looking at 150 plus hours to do the platinum again, I think.
Yeah, that's Dragon's Dogma PlayStation 4 for those who weren't listening, Pyzilla. But it's very it looks like the type of game I would be interested in. But and like hard platinums and all that, like that wouldn't put me off. And I'm sure after the game inside out, because there's some games I know inside out, and if I went back to, I'd just be able to get platinum in 10 hours, whereas most people would take about 20 or 30. So I guess, like you said, if you really put in the time and effort into the game, you'll learn how to do it, I suppose, and it'll be easy to you. It reminds me of the Diablo 3 playthroughs that I had to do for that platinum. But obviously you could save that, you could back up your save and stuff like that. So that one sounds a bit more hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to keep in mind for the speed run is that you can prepare for it. So the way it works is that you can actually import whatever save you have into the speed run. So if you have a world where you're level 200, which is max, you have a maxed out party, you have all the best gear, you can put down items that allow you to teleport around the world. And if you do all that in advance and then use that save to start your speed run, all that will be in place and you'll be max level with teleports everywhere, which is why you can do a 40-hour game in 15 minutes. So, as long as you prepare for it, the speedrun is not that bad.
Yeah, sounds like it, but you'd have to put in a lot of effort just to even get to that point of
that's very true.
preparation, I think, But like I said, it depends if the quality of the game is good enough. Like, I certainly don't mind spending hours on the games to me like that. But sounds like you've definitely been playing a lot and active a lot there as well, DK. So that's very, very good to hear. So Daz, how have you been doing? What have you been playing?
Okay, well, recently I've been playing a few games, a few different variety of games. I've got three to talk about, a long one and two short ones. First of all, Knack 2. I mentioned it on the last episode that I just started it. Yeah, platinumed it, finished that much longer than I had originally anticipated.
What longer?
I think I clocked
like
in the story 15 hours.
That's
I think
like
the story took me.
5 chapters too long. You know that, which is a third
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
game.
I agree with that. The pacing is quite slow, and it does feel like there's a few too many chapters. You are bouncing around to loads of different locations in the fictional world, and some of it did feel a little bit drawn out or unnecessary. But it's like 15 chapters and about an hour per chapter, really, because I definitely finished it around the 15-hour mark. That's just the story. Then an additional couple of hours to challenge modes and clean up some of the additional trophies.
Yeah.
But overall, I really liked it. I hadn't played the first one. I'm a big fan of the 90s 3D mascot platformers, so this felt natural to me. I really like the brawling mechanic in it. The fighting's not too bad. It can be a bit challenging on the harder modes. You really have to, in some situations where you're overwhelmed in the late game with quite a lot of enemies, you do have to think ahead and dance around a little bit, and even sometimes like tactical retreat to regain your health. The challenge modes were fine, but a little bit annoying, especially the time trial ones. I got them in the end, but they were just a little bit frustrating because the time requirements are very tight.
Yeah.
And even when you use crystal knacks, for those who don't really know about this, but knack, you can unlock basically skins, alternate skins for knack that give him like particular certain buffs, like more damage, more speed. And you collect collectibles in the game, and then they unlock the skins, and those skins can be used anytime, more or less, afterwards for the challenge modes to give you an edge. But even with them on, it is tight, the challenge. But yeah, I really liked it. I don't really have much more to say about it. The game looks awesome on Pro.
Yeah.
Just when you're like a huge, like 30-foot knack, and you just like reduce down to the small one, all the hundreds of little relics and pieces that fall off him are just so impressive. Just all the little random particles just rolling everywhere and then sort of reform back into the big knack is on a technical level really impressive. And the game doesn't deserve the shit that it gets online. Like, it's the butt of a lot of jokes.
It's a meme now, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a meme, but the second game doesn't deserve it. It is a solid game.
Yeah.
The characters are a bit annoying, but it is geared more towards kids. It is definitely for a younger audience, but as an adult, I feel you can enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
I did, so.
Yeah, I mean, like,
good.
Absolutely, and I mean, there's a big part of that, like, that will come in. Like, I think it'd be perfect if you had a kid yourself and you could sit down and play couch co-op with him, because it's 2 player. You can easily get 2 different knacks and stuff like that on the screen and stuff like that, and it's pretty enjoyable, you know. But unfortunately, because it's a meme, I don't think the second one sold very well. And I think there might not be a third.
Oh, that's a shame, because I'd actually buy a third one if it was more of the same. Maybe not as long, but if it was more of the same, I'd definitely buy another one, a Knack 3. But who knows? I'm even surprised there was a Knack 2, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, we got that over some other games that we wanted, so it's very weird. But what about those other games then?
Okay, well, the 2 shorter games I've been playing, I downloaded Square Boy versus the Bullies. It's like a retro kind of style, sort of beat 'em up brawler, kind of like Double Dragon back on the old Nintendos, where you'd be side-scrolling, walking along a street, fighting enemies that just keep coming at you. You know, like,
Yeah.
or similar to like a lot of arcade fighters as well, but very, very simple. It's on PS Vita. It was about £3, like, it was really cheap, a couple of quid, and it's pretty challenging. It depends on your skill level. I'm not too good at like the brawler beat 'em up kind of games. I don't have much of a history with them. I thought I'd give it a go, and I eventually got the platinum. It's a very straightforward platinum. It's just basically finishing the game. But towards the end level, it can get really, really hard. It took me a few hours to get through it. Some people say it's really easy. I personally found it a little bit challenging, but like 3-4 out of 10 difficulty, really. Once you kind of learn the enemy patterns and kind of get to grips with the controls and like combos and such, it's very, very doable. Like 2-3 hour platinum more or less. And I just fancied something to play on Vita. I haven't used Vita since I can't even remember the last game. 36 Fragments of Midnight, I think, was the last Vita game I played. So I fancied something on the handheld. And just on a quick note about the Vita, I actually played quite a bit of Knack too through remote play on the Vita, and I thought we don't use remote play enough, even though like all the games sort of support it. It's not comfortable to use for every type of game because of the lack of like rear triggers on the Vita, but when it works, it works. You know, I just would sit there playing Knack like downstairs. My PlayStation's upstairs, so I could like watch a movie downstairs and also be kind of playing Knack at the same time.
Yeah.
The Vita, obviously talking about like memes and being the butt of jokes. Like Vita nowadays is, of course, like quite a lot of not negativity, but it's always the butt of jokes online now in regards to handheld gaming. But using it as a second screen experience, it does work. And when I didn't particularly feel like sitting upstairs playing that, because as I said, the game's pretty long, wanted to do something else at the same time, it worked well enough. And I don't think Knack uses any of the rear triggers at all in the entire game, so it fits the Vita perfectly. But I digress. Anyway, and the third game I platinumed today actually was Planet of the Eyes. It's a really nice kind of side scroller. It reminds me a lot of Limbo, but it's more colourful and it's like sci-fi. You play as a little robot that crash lands on a planet, and you just find like audio tapes of I guess his creator or something to do someone who built him, and you're just kind of like traversing the alien environment. And it's quite tricky towards the end. Nothing too difficult, but it just really reminded me of Limbo. Some of the art style, some of the creatures that you have to avoid or that can kill you in the game have got that kind of jagged, kind of Tim Burton-esque kind of look to them. And it was pretty cheap as well. I think it was like £7-8.
Yeah.
And really, really easy platinum, about 2 hours at absolute most, like 50 minutes to like 2 hours. And that was nice as well because after like Knack playing for 15 hours, I needed a few shorter experiences just to sort of freshen up, you know.
But Knack definitely, like, I enjoyed it, but it did feel like it went on far too long for me. So I was glad to get the relief of it there towards the end. There's not too much like those time trials and the Colosseum stuff. There are only like a few levels. They're not really. Don't really add too much to it. It's really God help you if you had it started on like normal or easy, because that would have made a whole other playthrough. I would have
been too much.
Don't think I would have enjoyed the game if I had to have done it twice, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's all I've been playing so far.
Oh, perfect. Well, I guess I'm the only one left. Well, what I've been playing really was I finished off the Final Fantasy IX Platinum, obviously. I was very, very happy to have gotten that. I had arranged to get it on my birthday and as the 225th Platinum, so it showed up on my PlayStation profile. Very, very happy about that, because obviously that's my favourite game of all time. I finished both South Park games as well, both the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. I only just finished the Fractured Butthole today, actually, just about a few hours ago. Fantastic games. They were very, very funny. I preferred the Stick of Truth. Honestly, the Stick of Truth had me pausing the game just to laugh all the way back on PlayStation 3, and when I played it again on PlayStation 4, it's just so fucking funny, man. It's just brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. But and Fractured Butthole, it just, I don't know, it felt like it went too serious a game, if you understand, because there's so much different about it. But the good thing is there's no missables, absolutely no missables. For those who haven't played, the Stick of Truth has a lot of missables and a lot of collectibles.
For you to tell me that, because I did actually miss just one single collectible in a Stick of Truth back on PS3. It was like one single Chimpokemon, I missed a Chimpokemon and I missed one single costume piece, because there was two areas that you couldn't return back to: the UFO.
There's loads more areas you can't return back to, man. There's loads of areas. Yeah, there's so I think the community center and some other places like you and the cop places, and I don't think you can even go back into the abortion clinic afterwards. You know that.
Loads of missables in that game, and so it did take me but the second go was easy. I managed to rush through it really quickly. But you were saying like you said you enjoyed Stick of Truth more, and because Fractured But Whole was a little bit more, to quote you, like serious. But do you think maybe you playing the two games so close to each other may have been detrimental to your experience of the newer game?
I think it gave me more of an insight. I think if I hadn't played them far apart, I would have thought they were more level with each other. But because the Stick of Mind was fresh, the Stick of Truth was fresh in my mind, and then I directly played the sequel. Like I don't know, I felt in a good, kind of on a good ground enough to have compared the two, and I would say the gameplay and all that is way better in Fractured But Whole. But it's just the story itself. I just found myself laughing all the time in Stick of Truth, but it just wasn't that way with the Fractured But Whole. Like I didn't laugh all the time. I only laughed like 60 to 70% of the time, which is still fantastic. I mean, the game is amazing, you know what I mean? But I don't know. There's just something about it. I think a lot of other people agree, because when I've been looking on the trophy forums and stuff like that, there is no guide, and some people are just giving other people clues and stuff like that, about the game. But a lot of people have said that it doesn't feel as good as the Stick of Truth. The new combat is brilliant, and the no missables and stuff like that is fantastic. I mean, you can literally play the entire game, and when you get to the very end, you can get all the trophies.
It is
amazing.
I remember when I was doing the collectible run again on Stick of Truth, I printed out, someone on the forums had made a list of every single collectible Shin Pokemon costume, what have you, and their location, and I printed them all off on paper. I was like 20, something crazy, like 20 sheets of paper, and they were in like chronological order on the list, like where you'd find them in the game, and I just had the sheets in front of me, and I just crossed them off with a marker pen, every single one, because I did not want to have to play the game for a third time if I missed the last one.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I missed it again, just missed one or whatever. So yeah, I had like I have a photo of it somewhere of like once I had finished it all, like I just had 20 sheets all with like, basically it looked like when you see like government documents that have been redacted, all with like the black line through them. It was basically like 20 sheets of that. I just crossed off all the collectibles, because
there's a lot.
You don't want to miss a collectible in that game. You'd have to just play it all over again.
The South Park is one of those games where the trophy list, you don't have to complete everything in the game. Like, there's still loads of side quests. There's still loads of, like, do you know those member berries? Do you know them?
Yeah, I'm aware of those.
They're collectibles in it, but there's no trophy related to it. So, but there is a trophy related to some other collectibles. There's 40 of them, and then you have to master all the toilets, which is very easy. It's just a fun little mini game. The game's not hard whatsoever. There is a difficulty trophy this time, where you have to play as a black character and on mastermind difficulty. So it's kind of like two difficulties. The black character part only affects your skin color, obviously, how some people treat you, and the amount of money that you can pick up and stuff like that. So you get like less, and
social commentary.
Yeah, stuff like that. But that's all that does. But then there is a combat difficulty, which is mastermind, and you do have to play the game as a black character and on mastermind. But it's very, very easy up until the very end of the game, and then there's one or two battles that's just crazy. You really have to be like set up before that, because it's stupid, because I'm not going to give anything away or anything like that, but basically you can't go back or forward, and there's no vending machine. So if you're not well stocked up on like revives and stuff like that, you can make it very, very difficult for yourself. So it is a bit crap that way, but to be honest, the entire game is very, very easy, and it's very, very enjoyable.
To playing it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you get the Stick of Truth with the Fractured But Whole. Now, I pre-ordered it because I thought once it was released, like that, it would be like Jack and Daxter with the Lost Legacy, that I'd have to pay €15 for Stick of Truth separately or something like that. And I just thought, but I'll pre-order and I'll just get both of them. But it turns out that even if you buy Stick of Truth right now, the Fractured But Whole right now, if you buy it on disc and digital, you get the Stick of Truth with it. Yeah, so
that's really good to know, because I would be buying it physical copy.
Yeah,
and
I've seen some of our members like Shep. I've seen him on Twitter. He put up. He's in the UK as well, obviously, and he went in and they come with the Stick of Truth in a little code. And if you already have Stick of Truth, you could obviously give it to someone. But I don't think the majority would, because I think the PlayStation 4 version only comes from there. I only say that because the Fractured But Whole was pushed back it was delayed quite a bit, and pre-orders
Yeah.
got cancelled, so some people did get to keep their stick of truth, if you understand, and get their money back, if you understand. So, but yeah, you still get it even after like it's out. So I think that's very good. Like 2 games for
I'd
the
probably,
2 platinums.
when I buy, knowing this now, when I buy a Fractured But Whole, I think I'd probably play Stick of Truth first, and then maybe have a couple of weeks break, and then go into Fractured But Whole, because I think I wouldn't want to play them out of order. I wouldn't want to play the game that's got lesser mechanics after playing it when it's got improvements from the first game. I wouldn't want to take a step back.
You can't run. You can't run in the new one. You know you could fast run in the last one. You can't do that in this one. And it's a bit frustrating that you have to walk at a normal pace. But the combat's a lot better and stuff like that, you know. But the text is way too small. There's tiny little text in it. Like you can't even there's something called Coonstagram, which is basically Instagram, and you know the way in the first one where you had to like get people to follow you and stuff like that. There was a trophy for being everyone's friend.
It was on like a version of Facebook, wasn't it? You had to add like friend request everyone.
There is an Instagram version on this, but and you have to get followers, but there's no trophy related to it. But like it's just the parodies and all that's just pretty fantastic. But like I would definitely recommend it, and I would recommend doing Stick of Truth first as well. Definitely, it doesn't really feel like that much of a downgrade. To be honest, I think I preferred even the combat in Stick of Truth. I don't know, Stick of Truth for me. But I would still highly recommend the Fractured But Whole, definitely, especially seeing that you get the 2 of them together. So it's a perfect package. Perfect package. But besides from that, the only thing I've been playing a little bit on and off is the Witcher 3. That's because one of my Witcher 3 trophy lists I'm going to have to finish off to get 100%, which is all the DLC. And I specifically didn't go to it because I wanted to wait while I took a break, because I have got the triple platinum on the game, so I put a lot of hours into it already. But I had a hunch that they would update it for the PlayStation 4 Pro, even though they said they wouldn't. And then once the Xbox One X obviously was announced, they said there was going to be a patch coming, and the Pro patch is here, and I've been playing it in 4K, and I can tell you that it looks amazing, but I think the performance has gotten a little bit worse. So interesting. The frame rate seems a little not as good, and I have played this game in actual 4K on my PC, and it's not 4K proper, and like, you know, it's all just marketing terms, you know what I mean? It definitely looks pretty, but like when you see it in 4K on a PC, there's no comparison.
I suppose some compromises have to be made when you're working with a console hardware.
For sure. The draw distance is still terrible on it, and the frame rate and the performance has gotten a little bit worse. When I say a little bit, I mean like it's went down from 30 frames to like 25 or 26, but you notice it a little bit, you know what I mean? Not hurting my overall enjoyment of the game. It still looks amazing, and it still has the same relative performance, because it never ran smooth on consoles anyway, I don't believe. It's a very intensive game. I know you haven't played it, so but it is a very intensive game. I don't know, have you played it, DK?
Yes, I played through just the main game. Didn't get platinum or anything.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling I lost or missed some of the Gwent cards, and I
Yeah, you
didn't want
probably
to play
did.
through the game again.
If you
for the
didn't follow a
cards,
guide,
so I didn't- exactly.
If you didn't follow a guide, you've missed some, I can tell you that. There's some story missions like where, like, if you don't walk off to the side and there's some people in a corner playing Gwent at that time, like that, literally that 5 minutes that you're going to be there in your 100-hour playthrough, and you don't challenge them, then you've lost the entire platinum, like, so. But there's even a lot more missables than just a Gwent trophy. So, but it's a very, very good game. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. But the Pro patch, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I need to put in a lot more hours though. I've only been playing it for a few minutes, basically, about 30-40 minutes, I would say. But that's all that we've been playing this week. There's quite a lot of games on the roundup, so we always move to our next section that we have been going, which is basically some gaming news and how we feel about what's been happening in the gaming world this week relative to what we talk about on this podcast. So the big one that I wanted to bring up and we all wanted to kind of discuss and have a little bit of opinion on, I'm sure a lot of us are going to be disappointed as massive Star Wars fans and single player fans. A lot of us were looking forward to EA Visceral's version of a Star Wars game, an RPG, but we won't ever get to experience it now that we know that not only is the game been cancelled or at least completely changed in its core, but Visceral, the studio, has shut down as well. So I think a moment needs to be taken for that studio, because they have created some of the best horror games that anyone could ever play, really, in the Dead Space games. And I'm sure they had a lot of other great games as well, but it's just sad to see another death in the EA family.
Dead Space was an amazing game, and it's a shame the series changed the way it did through, I guess, interference by their publisher. But the first and a little bit of the second, fantastic horror games. But just the first though, I'd never played anything like it before, and I was a fan of horror.
Yeah.
You know, back on PlayStation 1 with like Resident Evil and
Silent Hill, man. I used to get fucking shit scared out of me playing Silent Hill, man.
Yeah, I mean, Dead Space really did scare me. Like, I remember when I first got it, I played it, I got home from work, I'd received it in the post that day. It was night time on a Friday night, and I drew all the curtains, turned the lights off, played it for about half an hour. I was like, nope. And so I turned it off, went to bed, and decided to play it the next day in the daylight because it was just freaking me out, and I could not cope with it.
Yeah.
So I chickened out, absolutely, which is a testament to the design of that game, the sound, the visuals, the story, the setting. What a game! I wish they would remaster it, but EA's just I doubt we'll see that now.
No, I don't know. Unless they can stick in online to it and fucking stick on microtransactions, the cunts probably won't do it. But what I was thinking was I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with the game. Not the actual game itself, but because I played it when I first got my PlayStation 3. So it could have been one of my very first few platinums. I mean, my very first 5 platinums. I was en route to getting the platinum, but for some strange reason, as a extremely novice trophy hunter, I decided that I would leave the difficulty trophy and pair it with that other trophy that you have to complete the game using only the plasma core. So I was basically I'm not too sure if that was a good idea, but I was on the hardest difficulty using only the plasma core. Found it quite tough, but I was doing it, and I was like 3/4 of the way the game through, and my first PlayStation 3 failed. Basically, the Blu-ray disc went on it, and this was no PlayStation Plus, no backup or anything like that. I literally only just got my first PlayStation 3, and it failed after 3 months, and I lost all the saves. I even lost some trophies because I did loads of Killzone 2, I think, in the HD or something like that, and when I didn't sync it even, so when I look at my Killzone on my profile, I can see it's like 2%, whereas I know I got really up to like 60 or 70% on it. But I lost the save, and I just didn't have the heart to, at that time, just to start the entire game over again. But like if you look at my platinum list, it's like 82%, just missing those 2 trophies. But I swear, like that's how much the game, like when I first started trophy hunting, I wasn't really a trophy hunter. It was Fallout 3. I really love Fallout 3. I just looked at the trophy list as a to-do list, and I did it. And that's what I kind of seen other games as. I didn't really kind of even understand the significance of having a lot of different platinums. And that game kind of drove me early on to get the platinum out of it, but I didn't earn it. So,
But anyway, like just getting back on topic with Visceral, like I've just talking about like Star Wars. Like I said in previous episode, I tried
Battlefront one.
Battlefield and didn't like it. So I had a lot of stock put into Visceral's upcoming game, and I've said for like I think it's literally years now, because it was a few years now since they announced they were working on it. I was really excited, really looking forward to it, because like when they cancelled Star Wars 1313, that kind of Uncharted meets Star Wars set on the lower levels of Coruscant kind of game, because they showed footage of that, or like at pre-alpha footage or whatever of it. When that got cancelled, and then when Disney acquired it, and then EA got the game license for it, then I heard about Visceral making one. I was really looking forward to it because Dead Space, for example, they had Amy Hennig on there, like a writer of the Uncharted series, and worked on the Legacy of Kain game, so the story was going to be there as well. But yeah, just such a blow, because I was really like, there's no other EA games I'm interested in at all. I don't do sports games, I don't do racing games, I don't do Battlefield, so there was really almost nothing left at this point, and now there is nothing left for me from EA's offerings.
Damn shame.
It's just nothing for me, really. I'm not saying like the games they do are bad, just my personal taste. is just there's nothing for me. So I was really looking forward to this Visceral game, Star Wars Visceral game, because they showed like a really split-second footage of it a few E3s ago,
Yeah.
where it was like a guy stepping out of a cantina into like a town sort of square, like,
Oh, yeah, I
like
remember,
Tatooine or something like
and
that.
you got big battle destroyers up there, Star
Yeah,
Destroyer,
big
sorry.
Star Destroyer above in the sky, and that was like our first tiny little taste of things to come. But I guess we'll never know now. You know, and it was really disappointing. And I understand the business side of it, and I understand where EA are coming from, but there's a lot of people out of work now, and it's really disappointing for everyone involved.
I just look at it like Sony, you know, they would, like I referred it on Twitter to like The Last Guardian, you know, Sony must have put a massive amount of monies in that 10-year span of it, but they didn't can it, you know, and they've done that, they've shown that in their history, and so have other game companies, you know. I don't think it's the death of single player, but it certainly set up the road, and it's set a clear precedence that a lot of the big guys don't care about single players anymore, and that we are moving.
Single player will always be around.
So always will be,
small indie games. I mean, there'll always be single player, because there's
always.
some games where.
But the big guys are giving up. That's what I think. Like, you know, and if they do attempt a single player, it'll be woven like the way Destiny and the way fucking
games as services.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I never ever believed that single player games are going away, but we're starting to see. It's kind of like the balance is tipped now. Like it really has. Single player games will start becoming like lesser and lesser. More people are just going to constantly play online.
Like single player games, I think it's just the big budget single player games that are finding it hard to maintain their presence, or their how much they cost, their budget.
One thing I found very funny was that during this whole thing, I've been constantly seeing ads for Battlefront 2's single player. You know that? Because they're going heavy on advertising that as well. So, and I'm not gonna buy that game obviously at release. So I am interested in picking it up and playing it in general. I wonder what that single player is gonna be like. But like you said, since Disney gave EA the license, I'm pretty sure that's exclusive. So we're never gonna get a single player Star Wars game. We're never gonna get to be like an RPG Jedi like the Knights of the Old Republic games back on the PC. I think they were on the original Xbox as well, but I don't think they were ever on PlayStations. I'm not too sure, because I played them on PC. But they were very, very good games, done by Obsidian as well. I'd love to see them do another one. But like I said, the EA license, if they have that exclusive, then we're pretty much never going to see a single player Star Wars game. Which is
at least not one that's not attached to a multiplayer that's going to have loot boxes and microtransactions. That's how they see that they're going to support single player games, if they're attached to a massive multiplayer that can make money.
Yeah, see, I read online that there was an interesting story. I never played Dead Space 3, but I heard it has a lot of co-op and a lot of stupid shit in it. And
you can play through the entire game in co-op, which I'm one of the very few people I think that like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think, but I remember reading up that's like apparently EA, like the developers had a massively different idea for a traditional Dead Space game, but then EA said, oh, it needs co-op and it needs like online passes and it needs these kind of things, you know. I think the developers are, you know, they made that game and it resulted out of Dead Space 3. I think the same thing happened here with this Star Wars. They obviously had like you said, the Uncharted style single player experience, but EA were like, no, we want this or that. We wanted to connect to online. We want to be able to sell them this kind of stuff. And eventually they were just like, okay, let's shut the whole thing down and rebuild it up to be something like what I think it'll be Destiny. It'll be Star Wars Destiny. That's what I think it's going to be.
Well, when we first started this conversation, I was talking about like Dead Space 1, 2 and 3 and how they had changed it. Yeah, 3, they had like introduced these like microtransactions for buying like weapon parts, customizable weapons, because what they had done is in the first game, as you remember, you had the ammo was scarce, but the ammo was specific to the weapon, so you'd get buzzsaw ammo, flame ammo, plasma cutter, and then like line cutter ammo. In the third game, they just made the ammo universal, like you just pick up ammo and it just works in every gun. It's just like generic ammo. And firstly, that reduced it as survival horror, because now every ammo you just put whatever ammo you'd find, you just put it in your best gun or your best weapon. But then they introduced like microtransactions to the weapons customization bench, So you could just spend whatever money you wanted, as much as you wanted, and just basically from like the first bench you find, just unlock like the best weapon and completely kind of like ruin the balance of the game. And I curious at the time because microtransactions, at least for me at that time, were very new, and I tried it out. I didn't spend loads. I spent like maybe £2 just curious to see how much this changes the game, and I bought like an upgrade module or something else for the gun that I had, and it
Okay,
just made the
stop.
game
Hold on.
like.
You're responsible for this then. You're the person that's doing this. You're buying those microtransactions, man. You're the one that caused all this.
What, all them years ago when I bought £2 worth of
Yeah.
microtransactions
Yeah.
started the snowball effect.
Yeah.
But anyway, it changes the game. You just become overpowered, and there's no real challenge to it if you can just buy the best weapons from the off. So
Sounds like
it was
EA.
a sign of things to come.
Yeah, sounds like EA. I'm just this bit disappointed because, like I said, when I got my PC, one of the first things I wanted to do was play that old Obsidian Knights of the Old Republic game, and I mean, it is horribly dated. It's basically playing a PlayStation 1 game again, but you could see it was such a good story. There was real love and real thought put into the lore of the game to fit into Star Wars universe, because it was thousands of years before the Jedi and what happened in the Star Wars stuff, and it was just a really, really good story. And Obsidian, like, they have some special touch. They did the Stick of Truth as well, I'm almost sure, or maybe I'm wrong. Someone might have to correct me on it, but
What's that? Obsidian? Yeah, they were behind Stick of Truth.
yeah, it's a different company behind Fracture Butthole right now. So this is actually blowing my mind here now. So Obsidian have actually, like, I love them, but they have a habit of going into other game series and making the best version of that game. You know, because they did it with Fallout as well. They made Fallout New Vegas, and that's the best Fallout.
Yeah.
It's way better than Fallout 4 and Fallout 3. And it's just the same right here, right now. They made the best Stick of Truth, and they made the best Star Wars game. That was just all licenses given to them, you know. But just a bit disappointed. I was really personally looking forward to the game, but I understand EA are like that. I shouldn't expect any more of them. I think a lot more other companies are going like that, and I'm just gonna support my single player stuff like I do. I like a lot of online stuff as well, obviously, but
it's just a shame that the license is just basically just been given to one big publisher, and it can't be spread out amongst the industry, you know, because there's so many different studios and different developers, different publishers and different studios and developers underneath them that could do all kinds of things, you know, just like giving it to one umbrella, just one EA to do whatever they, you know, feel with it. It's just, you know, I think they could have made a lot more money from diversity rather than, you know, what it is now.
I'm not too sure about money, but they definitely would have made a lot more better games by freely giving the license to more talented developers to have their own. Like, imagine some indie studio made some amazing Star Wars experience, you know. I'm saying not a big AAA budget, but imagine out of nowhere some indie studio creates a fantastic experience in a $20 game or something like that, you know. We'll never know.
Yeah, that's like, well, Disney owns Marvel, and there's a few Marvel games coming from different people. You've got like Marvel vs. Capcom, which I know isn't like a Marvel game, but it has MCU characters or
Telltale are doing
characters.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Telltale. Yeah. You've also got Square Enix doing that Avengers style game that's coming at some point. So like Marvel's dished out to loads of different people. So it's just a shame that Star Wars isn't, because you could have got loads of different things.
EA must have slapped those microtransaction dollars on the table and just said, "Here, take this flat rate." You know what I mean? Give that license to us. That must have been him. But that's business. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's that's the side of the games industry. So that's a bit unfortunate, but we have to deal with it, unfortunately. So the next part that's coming up that we always do every episode is basically our tricky trophy section. This is the part where we look back through our trophy collections at some of the most challenging and rage-inducing gameplay, or stuff that just completely bored us to death while we were grinding, just to endure all of that just for one single trophy. So with the tricky trophy section, I'd like to ask Daz, what have you chosen?
Okay, for my tricky trophy this week, I've chosen a game that I played. It was 2 years ago. It was on sale one Christmas, and I think it was like on sale, PSN's Christmas sale, and I think I bought it on a few days before Christmas Eve, and I remember playing it all through Christmas. It was on PS Vita, and it is The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, it was down from like something ridiculous, like 30 quid or something, down to like something like £5-6. So I want to give this a go, and I really really liked it. It was a really well made game for the Vita. You've got the whole of New York City to swing around. You've got missions outside in the open world. You've got the story as well, which is sort of loosely based after the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of like generic Spider-Man lore, different villains.
Which
and whatnot.
Spider-Man movie now? Because there's been 3 reboots. There's the Tobey Maguire ones, which I really liked.
No, the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes. With that other guy.
With Andrew Garfield. Those ones.
That's the only Spider-Mans I never watched. You know.
Anyway, the game itself was fine. You can imagine it was on PS3 as well. I think. You can imagine the Vita version just downscaled like graphically, but still worked fine. Like I said, really enjoyed it. Put a lot of hours into it over that Christmas. Anyway, my tricky trophy for that is a trophy called On the Fly. Now, looking at it here on PSN profiles, the rarity for it is, well, the platinum rarity for that game is 17.55. So, average kind of rarity, not too rare, but not too common either. But the trophy in question is called On the Fly, and the description is, collect all 700 Spider-Man comic pages. This is a collectibles trophy. There are 700, at least, first let me say at least 700, because there's 700 individual comic book pages you have to collect that are spread throughout all of the open world map of New York City, plus they appear in the missions as well. And it's not just the comic book pages that you have to collect overall. There's also like audio files, Oscorp secret documents, so there's probably maybe like 800 collectibles altogether, maybe even close to 900 collectibles. But this particular one for 700 Spider-Man comic book pages was the one that's the worst, because they're spread all over the city as well as in the levels, as I said. In the levels, easy. They're linear levels. You can kind of see them. They glow yellow. They also make this kind of like shimmering kind of noise when you get near them. In the city, it's a whole different ball game, because as you can imagine on the Vita, the draw distance is not great.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find them in the city. You just have to keep listening out to the shimmering kind of sound. And I can't even remember how I found them all, because you can barely even see them until you're pretty much standing next to them. You can see the kind of the silhouette of them, or like you can see the glow, but not the comic book itself, just like the lighting effect around it. So I just had to basically, I don't know, just swing through the city in like a kind of grid formation and just listen out. I think I had headphones in and I just listened to the noise, and eventually I got them. But this game is the most collectibles I've ever had to collect in a game. I think I can't think of any other game that I've had to do nearly 1,000 collectibles to get the platinum for.
I would hope that those fuckers are like right beside each other, and that the maps aren't too big. Like that, 700 sounds like a lot.
No, they are actually kind of spread out a little way. Like the open world map is pretty big. You can imagine like a city block kind of grid. There would be like, I don't know, so you've got like 4 blocks or 4 kind of like clusters of buildings, and maybe within that cluster you'd get like, because the buildings would have different levels, different balconies, different, up on the roof, then the mid tier, then like right at the bottom, like on a what's it called, awning, like above like shops and stuff, the awning that hangs over.
Oh yeah.
They'd be on all different levels of the building as well, so you'd have to and they'd be tucked away behind alleys so you could hear the noise, but you'd have to just search everywhere. The second game, which I played, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I played on PS4, they did fix that. They made it a lot easier to find it, because you could actually see them with your Spidey vision, which kind of made you Spidey sense, which gave you kind of like X-ray vision, so you could see the collectibles better. But in this game, it was a right ball ache to get them all, and it did take me all over Christmas. Still a good game though. I liked it, but I think these games are gone now. I don't think they're on the store anymore, because I think Activision didn't renew the license for them. So this game and Amazing Spider-Man 2, I don't think are even on PSN anymore. So
that's weird. That sounds like a tricky trophy. It sounds like there's a lot of collectibles. You probably collected more collectibles in that game than I have in my last 10 games, to be honest. That's never a good thing. I often wonder how many collectibles I've actually collected in my entire Platinum history.
I really just hate it. Like, I don't mind collectibles, but when they are obvious filler, it's awful.
I think the most amount of collectibles I ever done in a game was in the The Division. I think you have done that, DK, have you? Am I wrong there?
Yeah, I don't recall how many the game has, but
It's like
it took a couple
120 or
hours.
something. Something like 120, I think. But yeah, I thought
And the
that was...
game Division was even there was a glitch or there's a bug early on in the game where it would show you missing one collectible even though you didn't. So that certainly didn't make finding them any easier.
Yeah, I kind of had that experience with Dying Light as well, actually. Collectibles glitching that, and that's the worst thing that could ever happen. Oh, collectibles glitching. Ugh, I hate them. So I'm gonna have to move on here. I'm getting sweats. DK, what's your tricky trophy?
So my trigger trophy for this week is from Lego Worlds. Now, I'm not sure if this has been made any easier at this point, but basically the trophy is called Billionaire and requires you to collect 1 billion studs. Now, if you've played a normal Lego game, collecting a billion doesn't sound like much because you have multipliers and stuff, but in Lego Worlds you do not. So you have to
Wow.
no multiplier. You have to collect 1 billion studs. And the crazy thing, unless they've patched this, is you have to do it in one sitting. If you leave the game, you start over.
What? What
Exactly.
is with you playing
So
these games where you can't ever leave your couch?
the crazy thing is, if you do this legit, but actually, no matter if you do it the easy way, this trophy takes about 4 hours. But doing it in 4 hours means you have to open just under 17,000 chests in the game, which I did. Um, so doing it legit obviously would take you most likely months of never turning off the game, which makes no sense. But the
Yeah.
way you can do it, I literally to get this done, I got a second copy of the game. I played online co-op with myself, so I had two PS4s next to each other, and I set it up everything. There's a certain method you can do. So every time you put down a chest, you had to like duplicate a thing, destroy it, put it down 17,000 times. So hit X 17,000 times. Just keep hitting. I did that for like 3.5 hours. Just hit X while I was watching Netflix to get that trophy. And the game at the point was running horribly, so there's a very good chance the game would crash and you would have to start over. It was a nightmare, but I got it done. It's
There's
very
some
tricky.
really tricky trophies.
Yeah, so I
Definitely.
mean, if it hasn't been changed, don't do it. Just don't don't do it.
Oh, man, having to put two PS4s next to each other just to make this like just to try and level the playing field. That's some serious tricky trophy right there.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you
hidden.
you could do it with someone else online, but then of course the 4 hours you would have to return the favor for the other player, making it an 8 hour thing, and I was just not going to do that. So yeah, co-op with myself was the only way forward.
That's crazy. I mean, 17,000 times. That is
Oh, at least in like the Lego games, the standard Lego games, you get like the multiplier uh, things you can turn on, multiplier
yeah.
red bricks. But
Even then, I
you,
found that you were running around for too long trying to get like a
yeah,
billion.
yeah, I agree.
No, that's a tricky trophy. Well done, man. I'm not.
Thank you.
I certainly
Yeah,
wouldn't do it.
the percentage on PSN for the platinum for the game itself is 0.1%,
Wow.
and on PSN profiles, the platinum is at 1.99, and this trophy is at 2.14. So it's even rare among trophy hunters because it's just a ball ache to get.
Yeah, it sounds like a. Um, you didn't do much for my sweats there, man. You made me even more nervous. That's crazy.
Sorry about that.
That's no problem. But that really sounds like a lot of effort. You know, sitting down for and hitting X 17,000 times, and like the game could crash, and those are the kind of things that.
Exactly, yeah.
Well done on getting that. I don't think I would be able to do something like that. So I guess that leaves me again. So my tricky trophy that I wanted to pick was one of the very first few tricky trophies I ever did, and for a long, long time it was the hardest platinum I had ever earned. And the game is one of my favorite games as well. Actually, it's Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty in the HD collection. Now, I think a lot of people see that as maybe the weakest main series Metal Gear game, from Metal Gear 1 to 4, sorry. But I personally loved it. I put a massive amount of hours
Yeah,
into it in
that was one
PlayStation
of the
2.
games that I sort of like. I love Metal Gear series, and I grew up playing them. And
Yeah,
two, definitely,
loved it.
I really enjoyed two. A lot of
Yeah.
people didn't like it because of the Raiden thing. But I really
I
enjoyed
loved
it.
seeing Solid Snake from a different perspective. Yeah, and then I liked the dilemma of seeing him not want to even be Snake himself, you know. I don't know, just
Yeah,
thought,
of course,
and
that's
then
right.
the ending as well just kind of blew your mind, where the whole thing was just set up to train people to try be Snake, and then it was just epic. I thought it was epic the entire way through, and I really really loved it. Back in PlayStation 2, I played the
It
death out of
wasn't
it.
even about it being set up to train people to be Snake. It was even more. It was even more advanced than that. It was the Solid Snake simulation was just a context for seeing if they could train humans in general to become other kind of people. Like they just use Solid Snake as an example, as like
Yeah, and
a
what he did
patient
on
zero,
Shadow mode is
if you
just,
will.
yeah.
I used to do this thing when I was a kid when I used to play Metal Gear Solid. I used to like playing it on a Saturday, because school not being on the weekend. So I used to start it in the morning and play it all day, because what I like to do is how Metal Gear Solid 2 is set basically throughout one day. You get onto the big shell in what's
Yeah.
basically early hours in the morning, and then when the big shell starts to sink, it's like the end of the day, the sunset, where you're going along the oil field with
Yeah,
Emma
right.
Emmerich, and it's like
And
the sun setting.
yeah,
So
and then
as I'd play it throughout the day, the sun would set in real time as well. So it kind of like added this
yeah,
kind of
match
feel
up.
to it. So I'd start, yeah, like it would match up. I'd start it like late morning, and I'd finish it by the time it would be like in winter time, when the
God, I
sun
love
sets
that game.
earlier.
I love that game, I really do. I love all the Metal Gear games, but I just love that one in particular. I really, really do. Like it was when you were saying with the Emma stuff and all that. Like that was fairly tricky, especially on the hardest difficulty. Like that, doing that on extreme, because you have to do it on extreme. That's not my trophy. I'm gonna get onto that essentially, but maybe I'll just skip to actually the trophy that I chose and I the bunch didn't have anything to do with the main game, and it wasn't something I'd ever played until I did actually play the HD collection, because it's all to do with the VR missions, the virtual missions along the side of it. I don't know if you played it, have you? The HD collection with the virtual missions?
Yeah, I played the virtual mission. Wait, the virtual missions from Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance,
Yeah.
or just the sort of standard
Um,
ones that came on the HD collection? Or was it included on the I have the HD collection, but I can't remember.
basically,
You had Metal
HD.
Gear Solid 2,
Yeah, Metal Gear
then you had
Solid 2.
Substance,
It was it not, or no, Subsistence was the Snake Eater.
the
It was
third one.
Substance. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It is that
Substance had
version. It is
all
that
of
version.
it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it is.
And yeah, you could play as Ninja Raiden and
Oh god, I'm gonna get onto it,
Kiss-Him.
right? The trophy is basically, it's called Virtually Impossible, and you have to complete all the VR and alternative missions. And
Oh,
there's 500 VR missions essentially.
yeah.
The first 400 perfectly fine, actually really enjoyable. The last 100, where you have to play as Solid Snake from PlayStation 1, you need to be a Metal Gear master. Honestly, like there's like I had to like step up my level. The first 400, like I'm very good at Metal Gear. Played it my entire life, big part of my childhood growing up. You know what I mean? Sometimes I only got
Yeah.
select games, and I would just constantly play the Metal Gear games over and over. I
Yeah, same here.
absolutely
I
loved
only
them.
have a few games, and
Yeah,
you just keep playing them over and over.
yeah, and the VR missions, the first 400, are just really, really cool weapons missions, sneaking missions, all that kind of stuff. Just typical stuff that you'd be able to do. And I was doing well in them because I'm very good at Metal Gear. But when I got to those last part, I realized that like this is really, really hard, and it was beyond my level at that time. So I had to look at like all these YouTube trophies, guides, and YouTube. Like actually, a lot of the YouTube videos were people doing it on the PlayStation 2 version and stuff like that, and like going up, like you had to complete it in a certain time and not get seen, and the enemy placements are just insane. There's one thing I didn't even know you could do, where you could run up to enemies, and if you went into first person view very quickly and you went down and you actually smack them in the balls, they don't see you, and you can just walk straight past them, and it's the fastest way of dealing with them. And I didn't even know that. And it's like stuff like barely holding square to raise the gun instead of like, it would it was really, really, really tough. And
I
like we're
remember
talking
playing.
100 missions of them as well.
I remember playing a lot of them on the PS2 version of Substance.
Yeah.
And I didn't do them all on the PS2. I haven't done them all in general. But the ones I had the most difficulty with was the special variety ones, where it's like you have to fight the giant genome soldier.
I was about to say
You have
that.
to do
Yeah. The sniper mission with
the
him is the hardest, or where you have
the
to.
sniper mission, the one where you
Yeah.
have to like, defend the curry
Yeah,
as
just
Snake Plissken. Sorry, not Snake Plissken, as Iroquois Plissken. Snake Plissken's the Kurt Russell character.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Where you have to defend Merrill, or you have to defend the curry.
Yeah.
I couldn't do them. Just couldn't do them. I'm
Yeah.
blasting away, and
And then you have to do it with the Stinger missile and the Nikita missile and stuff like that, and like that on
yeah,
the
those
extreme and
the
Metal.
Nick.
Oh, it's really really tough. Like, and you feel yourself inching forward because, like I said, there's 100 of these missions on extremely hard difficulty. I mean, like I said, at the time, like I've been playing Metal Gear my entire life, and once I did the first 400 missions, I thought, I know it's okay. It was a little bit challenging, but once I got to the very end of the last few missions, it was just such a high level, even above me, that I had to really sit down and learn, like, and basically inch, like it was like digging my nails through concrete. You know what I mean? You could feel yourself getting there so slowly and surely, but like
The Keter missile launcher, in my opinion, is the worst weapon
yeah,
in Metal
it's
Gear
so
Solid games,
hard.
because I never used it. The
The
only time I ever used
fuel,
the
the
Keter
fuel
missile,
thing, like, I like, and sorry, go ahead. What you were saying?
I was just saying I never used it outside of the context where you, like, in the first game you have to use it to get over the electric floor. In the second game you use it to blow up the generator to get into the president's holding room.
Yeah, through the fence.
Outside of that, never used it because it is a shit weapon. It is awful. You get one shot. If you even scrape against something, it's gone. The fuel, or if you go too far away from the signal,
Gone.
and it explodes and makes a loud noise. Completely pointless for a stealth game. It's rubbish. A rubbish weapon.
like-
And then they build all them virtual reality missions around it as well.
And you have to,
Ugh.
like, it's the fuel thing that's so hard with that. You have to, like, think of the fuel ways, and like you have to angle the explosion to hit multiple ones instead of just single ones and stuff like that under time conditions. And like I said, these are 100 missions of every single weapon in the game. There's like SOCOM missions, sniper missions, Nikita, Stingers, the grenade launcher, even where you have to go into first person shooter and shoot grenades and stuff like that. There's
That was a
the
crap weapon as well.
tranquilizer.
Grenade launcher in Metal Gear Solid 2.
And no, I know I'm kind of going a little bit out of it, but I think we've spoken about Metal Gear Solid in general, not only just this tricky trophy, but even when you've done that, like, you still have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty and collect all the dog tags on the hardest difficulty as well. So it was really really hard platinum, but I chose that VR mission because I think that's just a step above all the others. But it was one of my very first platinums. I think it was my fourth, so I set like a very high bar for myself, and it was only until Overwatch, like about 140 platinums, maybe 150 platinums later, that I felt anyway the same type of competition, with the same type of hard platinum. So very very tough, and that was my tricky trophy, so it's very very tough. But like I said, for me, one of those games growing up, I had to get the platinum. I just had to. I couldn't not. But that's it. That's pretty much it for all the tricky trophies. If you don't have anything else to say about Metal Gear.
No, we could go on for hours, me and you talking about Metal Gear, so I think stop it.
We should have
We'll
a
stop
Metal.
it there.
We should have a Metal Gear podcast, because I actually could talk for hours with it. Such a good game
Yeah,
series.
me too, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I was even just thinking this there earlier, because somebody actually asked me on Twitter, but I just thought I'd let everyone know here now. If I actually could only pick one game to play from the future, I'd pick Death Stranding. Sorry, I was thinking about. I seen his name there in the corner. Deathwatch. How are you doing, Death? No, Death Stranding from Kojima. That would be definitely be my most It is the game I'm looking forward to most, absolutely. But if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think we should just go through the outros.
Yeah, sure. I'm good. I've got everything. How about you, DK?
Yeah, all good here.
Okay, perfect. Well, I just wanted to speak a little about one or two things that's happening on the Discord here. Obviously, we mentioned last week that we have SSG Punish on board as a community organizer now. He's going to be doing the community trophy challenge leaderboard now. He has taken over from the reins from actually DK. They have given you shout outs and thanked you for your service in the past, DK, just in case you haven't heard that. And I just wanted to say it again while you actually are on the podcast. Thanks for doing the
Thank you.
leaderboards up until then. It's been a fantastic job. Really looking forward into getting it. Also, the Vectronic is back around. We're very very happy to see him safe. He's back around, spreading his joy around the server. He's also set up this spooky chat room. It's going to be active for about the next 2 weeks to celebrate Halloween, so get in there and get spooked. Also, the leaderboard tally is going to come up soon enough, so post your platinums if you have any for October. And
it's not good. It's not a good month for me. But Knack has taken so much out of my time recently. I think I'm going to rack up like 3 this month. I don't think I'm going to get another platinum in before the next week before at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any more in, to be honest, to the end of the month, but I think I'm going to sit on 6. I think that's 6 I've done this month. think, I'm not too sure, maybe 5. I definitely know I have 4, and I've done the fracture butthole, but I just don't know if it counted the other one I posted last week, so we'll see when the leaderboard is tallied up. So that's pretty much it. Thank you as always to the guys that come live and listen to us. Thank you to anyone who listens to us over iTunes or YouTube or any of the other various sources that we're on. And thank you to our patrons who keep us going every week with the donations and everything. Thank you guys. It really, really means a lot to keep this podcast going. We do it for the support that we get off you guys. So I'm Claire88. You can find me on Twitter at Claire88Gaming. Where can people find you, Daz?
They can find me on Twitter at ThatIsIll.
Perfect. And DK, where do you be hanging out?
I'm at DKShadow.
Okay, perfect.
Don't forget also to follow at the Trophy Trust as well, our podcast Twitter.
Certainly, we also have Void obviously posting a lot from there about deals and stuff like that to do. We go around and post the PlayStation Store, so we're pretty active on that community trophy handle. So give us a follow on that as well for all the latest updates. And thanks for listening to us, and happy trophy hunting.
Bye.
Bye, guys.